Brian, you're a genius. Thank you. So glad to see you. So I get to go back and say, I wanted to take a few minutes just to send love and light out to those in California. It's pretty horrific experience and I can't even wrap my brain around what they must be going through. No different than the hurricanes that happened in the southeast of our country a couple months ago. But Brian, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I was also going to explain that I'll be turning my head to the right where my other computer screen is so I can see comments. So I think, Brian, you can hear, right? Thumbs up. So I was talking about the other day the 12 universal laws of the universe. And they offer a framework of understanding how energy, thoughts, actions shape our reality. These laws, they teach us about interconnectedness, vibration, attraction, and balance. Thank you. And Brian, I know that there's a couple of other channels that are all going live right now. We're going to figure this out in the future, but I had already scheduled this, so I'm going to just dive in and talk about this. But so by understanding how all of these laws relate, it just brings us into a more harmonious place. It attracts positivity. It helps us find a deeper sense of purpose and connection. So the first law that we're going to talk about is the law of divine oneness. Now, what the hell does that mean? It means everything is connected. Everything. It's the foundational principle of everything in the universe. This law states that we are all part of the grand interconnected whole. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, they impact not just ourselves, but the whole world around us, all the people that we come in contact with. So I want to think of it like a spider web, right? Spider webs are these delicately woven, interconnected threads of silk that are purposeful. The webs have a purpose. And when one part of that web vibrates, the whole entire web responds. Well, we're the web. And when we speak, act, we affect everything around us. So every action has a reaction, cause and effect. We talk about that. And our actions can send ripples through our cosmic web, if you will, the world, our communities, our families, our friends. It affects the whole. That's what this law teaches us. And I just want to pop over and take a look at any of the questions and see. Nope, I just got you there. Thank you for being here, Brian. I'm sure you're multitasking, but I really appreciate you being here. So this law is really teaching us about empathy and understanding and urging us to consider our actions and that wider impact. And so how do you see it in your daily life? It says that beyond our senses, every thought, every action, every event is somehow connected, some way connected to everything and anything else. And I think that's really important, right? Because we have the incredible opportunity each day to say something good or something negative. And that includes speaking to ourselves. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but applying it is really about being compassionate to others. and recognizing that we're all one. Um, and so the way to sort of um, implement this divine oneness that we have is to ask ourselves, how can we have compassion for someone else? And I would share that, you know, our response to things dictates compassion or the lack thereof. If you're having a conversation with someone, family, friend, colleague, stranger, and they have an attitude, they're really just cranky pants today. They're in a mood. Two things happen, right? So we raise up to where they are in their actions and we reply accordingly. And the challenge in this universal law is to step back and not rise to that level and to have compassion because we may not know all the details that someone is going through that day. We may not know how their event or whatever, however their day started, shaped the attitude that they have, and that their response to you really isn't about you. And odds are it has nothing to do with you. But the moment that you respond negatively, it now the web vibrates and not in a positive way. And so, how can you have compassion? And the other thing that I would also say is sometimes it's not appropriate to say, look, man, I see you're going through something right now. Why don't we table this conversation and we can talk later? Or do you need a friend? Do you need someone to talk to? Are you going through something right now? Because I'm feeling it. And I was watching Jimena today on The Magic of Healing, and she was talking about how, you know, she'd received some information that hurt her feelings and didn't know really how to talk about it. And I think the challenge becomes one, again, something coming your way that may not be about you and how it's communicated to you. And the other thing that she did mention in her video today was how when we communicate through texts and messaging, emails, don't always convey the real intention. And that is actually really critical to communication. I think there's a positive to texting, and it's also avoidance. You know, some of us are old enough that there were none of these things when we were growing up. And so either you addressed it head on or you just ignored it and moved on. Um, but there was no circumventing through a text saying, yeah, okay, fine. It's texting is a great tool to say, hey, I'm going to meet you for dinner at this time. I hope you're doing okay. Whatever that message is, it's not supposed to be a soliloquy of how you're feeling. Um, and it is a tool of avoiding saying, hey, you know, that conversation that we were having, it made me feel like crap. And are you up for talking about it? And because the other person probably didn't even know they were doing it. And so the divine oneness, the interconnectedness, by that negative feeling that I absorbed from a conversation will now trickle to the next person that I encounter or a conversation that I have with someone, and my feelings are hurt. And that's so, how do we show more compassion and acceptance towards someone? Um, Hey, thanks for being here, Shannon. I was just talking about you and Jimena and our conversation that I participated in this afternoon. Um, and so talking about, how do we give grace to other people? And comparing this first law of the universe with the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and we are definitely going to dive into that book. But the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your words, don't take anything personally. I failed that one. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Well, be impeccable with your words and divine oneness. They're connected because your words influence how everybody else, through the tentacles or the web that we've created, we just reach out, and that effect, that negativity, can be transmitted throughout your web. And that is something that I think is critical to us as humans. So the 4 agreements, one of the things that they talk about is the words that you use have power to create. You can create positive or negative. And that's also for yourself. We often speak to ourselves in such a negative way. And that could have been from those that have spoken to us in our lives. Again, generationally. So I can only speak from being born in the early 60s. And there was not the warm fuzziness from parents. Do as I say, not as I do. Shut up and do as I told you to do. It wasn't, honey, let's have a conversation about why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. There wasn't that kind of warm fuzzy. There was set the table. There was do the dishes. And some of the conversations, maybe you weren't good enough at the task that they assigned you, and they were very quick to demonstrate or speak to you in a way that made you feel less. Those words that someone spoke to you became part of your web. It is interwoven in your brain of how you hear and see yourself. And so as we all have grown, and we all move through this, right? We're moving through these conversations with other people. We're hearing the voices. Sometimes what we hear is not really what they said. And one of the things that both Shannon and Jimena had said is the repeat. Take a moment and say, wait a minute, I think what I heard you say is, rather than leaving the conversation and going, what the hell? She said I suck. Why did she say I suck? Ask. So we're so afraid of having conversations because we're afraid of hurting someone or breaking down ourselves. I think, and this is me and my experiences, it's uncomfortable to say to somebody, look, I need to talk about that conversation and how it made me feel, and I didn't feel good about it. And I'd really like to, have a conversation with you. Are you open to that? If someone's not open to it, you move on, because you can't get blood from a stone with somebody that's not willing to talk about it. What you can say is, well, I would appreciate moving forward. Just watch what you say, because my feelings were really hurt today. And hey, Mish. And I did, Mish, put the link into your session after mine. So you guys that are watching at 7 Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern time, if you're free, Mental Health Matters is doing a show on grieving someone who is still alive. So that should be really interesting. I know I'm going to pop over. So, going back to the power of words, and it's through those words that we manifest what we want to do. So what you dream, what you think, what you say, how you feel. If you get up every day and say, oh, I feel like crap, I look like crap, I am crap, you're going to be crap. If you get up and say, I'm going to feel good today, it's going to be a great day, odds are you're going to have a better day. If you put it out into the universe, by December 31st, I am going to have 1,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Oh, there's no freaking way I'm gonna get 25 subscribers by, December 31st. Two different vibes. Changing the words can influence that interconnected web so that you are manifesting what you want. So you don't get to 1,000, maybe you get to 998. Um, you're still projecting what you want out there in the world. You want your friend to be successful? Man, you were awesome today. I loved what you had to say. I loved having a conversation with you. I loved having coffee, lunch, dinner, whatever. Um, you know, watching Brian and DJ the other day, they were going back and forth with songs. I'm like, oh my God, so creative. Um, these are things that raise up someone's vibration. It wasn't like, oh my God, what kind of lyrics were those? Oh, what kind of vibe in the music is that? Two different responses. Raise them up, squash their dream. And that's how we individually can impact change. Use your words. Find a way in yourself to take that moment and step back and say, Teresa's got a hair across her butt today. She's a little testy. Maybe she slept on the wrong side of the bed. I'm going to give her a little grace. Now, if it's a daily event, that's a whole different ballgame. Calling people out is okay, but also calling them out in a way that you're not putting them on the attack. One thing that has always impacted me is when someone says, you did this. I go into deer in headlights. I did what? And then I literally feel the walls building up, building up, building up, and I can't hear anything else. It's like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. So the rest of it could be something that was, you said that you weren't going to go to this party. All I heard was some hostile attack, and I shut down because I was raised. You didn't do this, you did that, you weren't good enough, you weren't here, you weren't there. It's, you were raised in a culture of less. Now, take into consideration cultures. So, are you dealing with or talking with a friend that is in another country? Are you dealing with, in my case, old world Italian mannerisms, colloquialisms? That's a tough word for me to say. Um, it's and generational, right? Because being raised in the 60s, being raised in the 70s, being raised in the 80s, over time, that older generation view and opinions have morphed into more relatable topics. So when you might have been reprimanded by a parent in the 60s, when you're reprimanded in the 90s, it's totally different. Or not, depends. But for the most part, there is an improvement with each generation on how we speak to each other. And there's been so much more education in the world about how do you talk to somebody? What do you say? And you get more with honey, than vinegar. So that's one way that our conversations evolve over time. The other thing is when you're dealing with someone literally in a different culture that has different slang that we may not be hip to. And so it is having an awareness that we all need to have, especially in this YouTube world, as we're talking to people in England, Australia, I hope to anyway. And I think that's where DJ is, but, different parts. The South in the US has totally different slang. I was talking to Misha about this. I don't think she's still in here, but I told her that I spent some time, 18 months working in Tennessee. And so people were really lovely. But the slang was, oh, bless your heart. And that could mean bless your heart in a good way or bless your heart, you're a piece of crap. And I didn't know that. And so when someone used to say to me, well, bless your heart, I would, kind of lean in and go, is that the good bless your heart? So there's different language. Even within the United States, we have different slang, we have different way of communicating. And so I think that we have to be aware that when we're talking with someone, that A, we have compassion, we have grace. Think about the words that we want to use to speak to somebody. And remember that, words matter. Words can make or break a person. And in breaking a person, there's a ripple effect. Like if you disturb the web, the spider web, it vibrates and impacts the whole web. Similarly, if you say something in a positive note, you raise that vibration. And that has a trickle down effect because now I'm sitting up taller and I'm feeling good because someone said something good and acknowledged something that you did. I did. Wow, what a difference it makes. How is it that we all feel lighter and brighter? So this is going to be a short one. I know people want to pop into the other channel, but take some time to think about being interconnected, being connected, that you have value and you truly do have value. No matter what, you have value, whether you're watching this video live or on replay, whether you're watching someone else's, you have value. You just made their day by showing up, by talking to someone and reaching out. You just made their day by paying them a compliment or extending some kind of courtesy. You just made a difference. That's the ripple effect, because then that person will feel better and extend that kind of grace and gratitude to someone else. And so it's really hard to do this, by the way. This is a whole month-long journey. We'll talk about it in different iterations over the next couple of sessions that I'm going to do. But I really want us to focus on raising that vibration, being compassionate with each other, recognizing that each of us has valid opinions, that we are valuable, and that the words that we use can raise someone up. And we could be the pebble or we can be the stone. And it's just really determining where we want to be. So I just want to check just real quick to see if there's anything in the chat. And there are only a couple of us in there, so totally get it. So no. So go check out Misha. I think you actually have time to go check out My Other's Keeper. And I think it's Echo, Living Your Best Life at 60. So feel free to drop by their channels. In the meantime, I want to send you a blessing until we meet again. May you be blessed with love and light and healing, sprinkled with a little joy, a little laughter, and a little gratitude. And until next time, guys.